Hello there once again, it's your old pal Locke the Bounty Hunter, and on today's very special episode, I gotta tell you, this is probably one of the most hilarious reaction vids that I have seen in regards to the soft guy era videos that have been making the rounds on TikTok. I gotta tell you, this woman is epic levels of delusion. It is a sight to behold. I don't want to keep you guys any longer, so let's not waste any more time and dive right in, shall we?
I'm afraid that men are about to learn rule number one of capitalism. In order to negotiate, you have to bring value. And in order to strike, you have to be able to take something away from the person that you're trying to strike against. That is the meaning of a strike. It means withholding something until you get your needs or conditions met. That's a strike, okay?
Wow, you know the meaning of an actual word. I am surprised. Okay, this woman might have actually brought the bare minimum it takes to engage in a battle of wits, and no, I cannot keep a straight face when I say that. You've actually opened up your argument with a factual point by knowing the bare definition of a singular word, and I honestly think that deserves some recognition.
Congratulations!
I just have one question for all of y'all.
Do tell.
What is that thing? Go ahead. What is that thing? What are you going to withhold from women in any meaningful way that is going to force us to meet your conditions and demands?
Okay, so for starters, this isn't a literal strike. From what I can tell with the soft era Drizzle movement, it's that it's basically a gigantic parody. We're making fun of you because you're being an idiot. But if you really want to go there, fine, let's do it. Let's say, for the sake of argument, that men completely check out from society. From a societal standpoint, you stand to lose just about everything. And when I say everything, we're going to start with the infrastructure. Your roads are going to crumble, your bridges are going to collapse, and you're actually not going to need a boat to crash into them for that to happen. Let's see, your skyscrapers are going to fall into disrepair. There aren't going to be any mechanics for you to get your car repaired, and you can't fix your own car. Farmers aren't going to be farming food. We're not going to have much of an import-export system considering our ships are mostly commanded by men. You won't have much of a firefighting system, any type of forest rescue system, not to mention police, so you're not going to have any type of law enforcement protection. You won't be able to get gas for your car, and there will be a dramatic shortage of gigolos. You really haven't thought this one through, woman.
What will it be? Go ahead. What will it be? What will you withhold from us? Have you thought about that? Have you thought about what it is you can meaningfully withhold from women in order for your movement to be effective? Because I guarantee you, in less than a month's time, tops, I promise you, everybody's going to forget about this. Do you know why?
Well, not only do I know, but the legendary Ernie Borgnine knows as well. Take it away, Ernie.
People today have attention spans that can only be measured in nanoseconds.
It's the internet, woman. Any type of outside the norm internet movement has about a month's worth of popularity tops. That's why you don't see idiot kids eating spoonfuls of cinnamon or dumping buckets of ice on their heads. This isn't about men going on strike. This is about men making fun of you. But you are so dense that you can't even understand that concept.
Because there's nothing at stake. There is nothing at stake. And let me explain something else to you. Without the forceful withholding of women's human rights away from them.
Woman, what rights have been forcefully taken away from you? The only argument that you have is a Supreme Court case that shall remain nameless that you know absolutely next to nothing about. You are incapable of naming one specific way how you are oppressed. But because you don't have all of the rights, you believe that you're oppressed. That's kind of pathetic.
There's nothing in our society that is dependent on men marrying women. But there is a lot at stake for women marrying men.
You're absolutely right. It's called a financial stake. The big reason why women want to get married is because they get to latch onto a man for his resources. And then when she takes him to divorce, she gets to leech off of him without even being legally married to the guy. You have a financial stake in getting married to a man, and a man has nothing to gain from marrying you. Sorry, another argument debunked, woman.
You know how you know that? It's because the government is getting involved.
That's not a good thing. Trust me, you do not want the government getting involved in anything.
Because our rights are getting removed.
No, they're not.
From us again. Because a lot of things in our society rest on the laurels of women's unpaid labor.
Name one thing. What unpaid labor are you talking about? What unpaid labor? Are you going to work? Are you collecting a paycheck? Are you paying taxes on said labor? If you're referring to housework, that is a completely different concept, and that is a different argument. You are getting paid for your labor. In fact, you're getting paid more than a man. You're getting more opportunities than men are in the workplace because you demanded it from the government. Stop acting like you're a victim.
Understand that? Women have been going on strike and withholding that labor.
Then why are you going to work and collecting a paycheck?
And that labor is so valuable that not only are men getting their panties in a bunch about it, but the government is getting involved.
That is not a good thing. You do not want the government involved in your life, because the second the government gets involved in your life, they just don't step back once the mission is accomplished. You have absolutely no idea what kind of hellfire and brimstone you have called down upon yourself, woman. It would be funny if it wasn't so sad.
And they're reversing our rights to our own bodies and to our own freedom and our own safety.
All right, you want to talk about freedom? Woman, you could walk up to a dude and grab him by the crotch and people would laugh. And if that man rightfully called you out on it, they would tell him to calm down because you paid him a compliment. You have significantly more freedom and more rights than a man does.
And that's how you know our shit's working.
Hold up, I thought that the government took away your rights. Why are you saying that the government is giving you more rights? I don't think you know what you're talking about, woman.
You know what the government's gonna do when there's too many single men? They're gonna start a war or something and send y'all to die.
All right, I am not unpacking World War III here, gentlemen and gents. There are plenty of other channels that can do a better job discussing that particular subject, and this is not the format for World War III. But with that being said, woman, you just said that the government gave you equal rights, which means that if you have equal rights, same to a man, you have to register for selective service, i.e. conscription. So if war were to ever break out, you would have to be conscripted alongside the men to go fight in said war. That's how equality works, you thick-headed broad.
That's what they're gonna do. Don't be crazy. Y'all need to get your shit together and try to survive. Because I'm telling you, it's not gonna work like it did for the women.
It didn't work for you. You are single, you are childless, and you are working 40 to 50 hours a week. You live alone, your blood is 90% boxed wine, you have 4 cats, and the best you can hope for is a quick rough and tumble on the weekends when Chad's got 15 minutes to spare in between workout sessions. You did not think this through, woman.
It's simply not. Let's really think about it. Let's unpack this, even.
Oh, this ought to be good.
I'll lay it all out for you.
Please do.
You bring nothing to the table by default. Nothing. Nothing. When you start to talk about, we're gonna not date women, so what? Women don't want to date most of y'all anyway, and you talk about it's the men who have figured this out. It's y'all's whole 80-20 theory, where 80% of women only want to date the top 20% of men. Yeah, you understand why that is, right?
Yeah, because you have an overinflated sense of worth thanks to social media telling you that you somehow belong with the top tier 1% of men and that everyone else is unworthy of you. Despite the fact that you don't have any real personality, you have no real skills to bring to a relationship, finances notwithstanding, men also provide leadership, emotional stability, warmth, companionship, and also someone to fix the toilet when you ultimately break it.
Because men aren't shit.
Speak for yourself, woman.
Like 80% of men bring nothing to the table.
You assume 80% of men bring nothing to the table because you're too busy ignoring them and you don't know the first thing about them.
To the point where women only want to date the top 20% of guys because that's the only tangible value that y'all bring to somebody's life is.
Woman, you are not dating these guys. Best you can possibly hope for is being that man's side chick. You are merely giving this dude your body. That's it.
Being either really good looking or making a lot of money. Those are your only tangible values. You are already not as valuable as women because only a small percentage of you actually represent something that women want. Okay? Something that women actually want.
You don't even know what you want, woman. That's the problem.
So for you to remove yourself from the dating marketplace means nothing because
Then why are you talking? Why are you looking into the phone and lecturing us? If what we're doing has zero impact on your life, then why do you care?
You've already been sitting on the shelves. Do you understand that?
Speak for yourself, woman.
You've been sitting on the shelves and nobody wants to pick you up. Rule number one of capitalism is supply and demand. There's simply not enough demand for y'all to be going on a strike. Like, it just simply isn't. It just simply isn't. There's not. What y'all did was overestimate your hand. Like, you overplayed your hand. You overvalued your stock value. You overvalued yourselves. People only care about y'all being single insofar as it's going to threaten other people's lives. Do you understand that?
I don't even think you understand that. How do you even figure that is even remotely true? My brain cells are trying to not die hearing a statement like that. Please explain yourself.
You bring negative value to society.
What, you bring positive value to society? What are you bringing? You have yet to name one thing.
Like, oh my God, like I hate to break this to you. You literally bring negative, you take away from society.
Okay, let's break that down for a second. Men produce the resources that aid society. You consume those resources, you don't contribute anything of any value, and you expect men to do all of the work for you. And yet we're the ones that are providing the negative. Yeah, that's how it works.
Y'all, like, murder people. So weird how giving people easy access ramps in the form of unpaid human labor, and this applies to white people as well. That's racist! Amazing how that will just take away your ability to think critically about your own value.
God, the irony is just so palpable here. Are you sure you're not speaking to yourself, woman? Because you have yet to talk about your value. You speak of this unpaid labor that you have not clearly defined, and then you want to accuse us of committing crimes that most of us have never really committed, and you are using us to blame the downfall of humanity, and yet you have yet to mention one thing on how you benefit society. That is rich.
Because your rights haven't been constantly taken away and you have...
Yes, they have been constantly taken away. Not only have our rights been taken away, all of our spaces have been taken away. We're no longer allowed to have our own clubs. We're no longer allowed to have our own teams. We're not even allowed to have our own spaces on the frickin' internet without you raising some type of unnecessary hubbub because we are discriminating against you, despite the fact that you have no interest in any of the things that we do in the first place. So yeah, nice try.
Been abused by every system that you were...
Neither of you.
...forced to fucking exist in, that you stop questioning, like, what value do I actually bring to the table?
Well, you bring zero value, I can already tell that.
The systems that allow you to exist so freely without thinking about anything at all have ruined your ability to think critically about things. So you perceive your own value to be so high while not realizing that your value is artificial. It's been given to you. And other people are not treated the same as you.
Woman, if anybody's value has been overestimated, it's yours. It has been overinflated. You think just because Chad was willing to spend 10 minutes being naked in a freaking barroom bathroom with you, that somehow makes you more valuable than the man that literally grows your food? You think that you are somehow superior to everybody thanks to a combination of social media, propaganda, and your ability to be a victim, even though you have several societal advantages over man, all of which you have thoroughly squandered.
And in the same way that white people love to brag about culture that doesn't belong to them, that they didn't create, that they have simply just been benefiting from, not only culture, but also actual physical value and labor and everything like that. White people take credit for it in the way that's like, oh, well, we built all this.
Well, that's not really the same thing because men literally built all of this. You did not build a single thing. The apartment that you live in was built by men. That place where you go to slave away at work, that building was built by men. Your car was designed and built and maintained by men. Men can actually take credit for society. Take it away, Rocco.
Men build things, then we die. It's in our DNA! That's what we do!
And it's like, no, you didn't. You took credit for it, right? And it's in the same way that men take credit for women's invisible labor.
Ah, for the love of the intergalactic space god Coloban all hail. Seriously, woman, you have mentioned unpaid labor at least a baker's dozen times, and you have yet to actually specifically provide an adequate explanation as to what your unpaid labor is. If you're going to make an argument like that, you really should crawl into some specifics.
And if you really want to talk about providing, the title actually should not be provider. It should be bringer. That's all that y'all do.
All right, if we're gonna go there, then you don't deserve the title of girlfriend or wife. You deserve the title of leech or parasite, because that's all you do.
You've only ever brought money to the table,
And you only take from the table.
which a woman is forced to sit because it's her only way to get money.
Oh, really? Really? Okay, so you mean to tell me that if you were dating a guy who made way more money than you wouldn't want to spend his money as opposed to spending yours? Yeah, right. I'll believe that the same day a woman designed a car that doesn't blow up as soon as the key switches on the ignition.
And you know what? Now that women don't have to do the table thing, they can just go to the same place that you go and get their own money. They don't want to come to the table with you to even negotiate. So y'all are sitting over here yapping about your movement, and women are over here getting money.
You are so short-sighted. You think this is about money. Modern women are obsessed with money. That's the end-all be-all of existence. Yes, is money important? Of course it is, but it is not the chief thing. Go make your own money. We seriously couldn't care less. You are trying to use it as a flex, like, oh man, we can't compare to these average-looking chicks because they make bank. We don't care. We make our own money. We do our own thing, and we leave you alone because you're not worth the hassle. Stop acting like money is this ultimate flex. It really isn't.
By themselves, and they don't want your money. And men will be like, my kids, my house. Who made those children?
You seriously want to go there? Woman, you need a man in order to make a child. You need both. Yes, the child grows in you, but that's only because the man gives you his seed. You don't understand economics. You don't understand basic wartime strategy, and you don't even understand basic breeding biology. You are shockingly bad at this.
They pop out of for you to call them yours.
Well, they do carry the father's DNA, don't they?
That's insane. As far
Who are
as
you?
the house, men will literally live in like the equivalent of a prison cell.
We all know the meme, dude with that really awesome ocean view. He had the TV with the PlayStation and the lawn chair. That's all he freaking needed. We got better things to do with our money than waste it on high-end home furnishings.
Until a woman comes along.
A woman comes along and then wants us to buy bigger things and waste our money on things we don't want.
And provides everything that's needed to make that house a home.
Except for the house. The man is the one who buys the house. The man is the one who provides the money for the furnishings. So again, you have yet to make a single coherent point. And that's almost impressive.
And again, up until very recently, the only damn reason a woman would even need a man to provide the home first is because she didn't have access to money or to buying her own home. So in order to have a home as a woman, you had to get married and wait for a man to buy you a house to live in. And guess what? Women are now buying more houses than men. So they can provide their own house. I think the point.
Well, the reason why men would buy the house is because we have a better understanding of basic economics than you do. Just because more women are buying houses, that just means there's going to be more foreclosures. Do you have any idea the mortgage rates that you guys are getting? They are beyond awful.
I think the biggest thing I want you to take away from this, if you're a man, is that the only time you have ever brought something to a woman's table is by taking it away first from her, by withholding her access to necessities and things that she would need to survive.
What was taken away from you in order to survive? You have not mentioned a thing.
So what are you going to withhold? The only thing that men typically bring to the table are their needs and wants. What women can bring to a man's table, those things are priceless.
Really? Like what?
That's why y'all literally had to trap us before, and you have to trap us still.
How are we trapping you? This is literally the first time you've acknowledged our existence in almost a decade.
Because you refuse to value the actual worth of our labor and contributions.
and I'm sure we would value the labor and the contributions if you actually made any. What are you talking about?
Whereas that same thing is not happening to you because you don't contribute anything. You come and you take, you receive. It's actually the women who give. Do you know what I mean? To give something means to know how to do it. At best, most men bring. You have the usefulness of a retriever. You bring stuff. Again, that only used to be valuable because you used to not allow women to step out and bring the stuff for themselves.
Nobody's stopping you, sweetheart. Do whatever you want with your life. We seriously do not care. In fact, when you do videos like this, you're actually doing us a huge favor because you're showing us how undesirable you are. You're mildly attractive at best, I'll give you that, but you're unintelligent, you're unpleasant, and you're extremely undesirable. And even at our loneliest, we wouldn't even consider giving you 6 digits to our phone number.
And now that women can, they don't need you to fetch anymore. It's like when a dog doesn't understand that you've already stopped throwing the ball and it just keeps, going and looking for the ball. Like, there's nothing. We don't need you for anything.
You really should not be calling us dumb, especially when your arguments are literally killing brain cells, woman.
Officially, don't need you for anything. So what can you withhold? I'm asking you. My brothers, please think.
Oh, sister, you have not earned the right to call us brothers. You have not earned that right.
Please think before you start these stupid ass movements.
Why do you care then? If you think that they're stupid and you think that we're worthless, why are you going on a 10-minute long diatribe telling us that we're wrong? Obviously, something's going right for it to get under your skin in order to freaking create this massive word salad that ultimately proves nothing.
You look like fools. You look like clowns. It's embarrassing.
Says the woman who just spent 10 minutes throwing makeup on her face.
It's painful to watch. It's cringy. Everything that y'all are doing, do you ever wonder why it centers around setting women back 50 years?
Nobody has set back women 50 years. You have imprisoned yourselves. You are now living a meaningless life where you work a job you loathe, where you're constantly being ignored by men. You're exhausted, you're miserable, and you have nothing to live for. The men who would have been decent providers to you, you ignored them because you drank the Kool-Aid, you bought the hype, and you thought you were better than them. Now, you are proceeding to try to lecture us about how you are better than us. How's that going for you, by the way?
This whole movement that you're not going to date any non-traditional women, why do y'all want women back into that position?
Because you want to be back in that position. You don't want to work. You actually want a house. You want kids. You want to live that life. You don't like earning your own money. You'd rather spend someone else's. You don't want to own your own home. You want someone to take that burden off of your shoulders. You actually want the traditional life. You're just incapable of living it.
Because you're weak and you have to force women down. And I'm telling you, when there's too many of you, when there's too many single men, the government's going to do something about it.
You seriously going back to this?
Because they're not going to have y'all up all the schools, okay? They're not going to have y'all doing that for much longer. They're going to figure out a war to send y'all off to.
You absolutely have no idea how the military-industrial complex works, do you? My Lord. So you know nothing about biology, you know nothing about psychology, you know nothing about sociology, you know nothing about engineering. Now you know absolutely nothing about martial combat. What do you know?
I promise you that. So be careful. Bargaining with stuff that you don't have. What's on the table? What's at stake? Bonus points if it's not violence against women.
Stop accusing us of crimes. We don't do that of you. Seriously, have you ever listened to yourself talk, woman? All you do is say we're nothing but a bunch of sex-crazed, violent psychopaths. We just look at you and make fun of your delusion. We're having fun here. You're the one that's being bitter and mean.
Bonus points, because that's you're going backwards. You're so weak, you have to subjugate women by hurting them. And please think about why. I just feel like you guys really overestimated y'all's usefulness on this. Frankly, until you can withhold something very specifically that would detract from women's lives, then the strike has no legs.
Okay, so if you want us to get technical, we're not wifing you up. We're not talking to you. We're not even so much as looking in your general direction. You want to know what men are withholding from you? Children. They are withholding a stable home to raise a family so that your children can grow up with a good, strong set of morals to go forth and produce something good for society. If anything, men are withholding that because you are not worth that kind of effort. But we're not going on strike. We're just making fun of you because you make it so easy. Thank you for that, by the way.
Because please answer me, on a large scale, what do most men bring to most women other than things that are negative and put their lives in danger?
What do you bring besides bitterness, terrible insults, and sweeping generalizations?
Even if a well-meaning man gets you pregnant, he's put your life in danger. So you're not bringing that to the table.
So hold up. All right, let me get this straight. Did you literally just say if a man and a woman agree to have a child and that man impregnates the woman, then that man did her a disservice by putting her life in danger? Woman, we're human beings. We live on the brink of death every freaking day. You don't need any help in that department.
Even if a well-meaning man has told you to quit your job and stay home, and then 15 years into that, he gets hit by a bus, something happens to him, what has he brought to the table? And who's gonna care?
You are using an incredibly specific and rare example to try to prove an argument that doesn't exist, which just goes to show you have no idea what you're talking about.
When that woman goes out there and tries to find a job with 0 out of 15 years of experience.
Why do you care? How is that your problem? And how does that prove your argument? Especially when you don't even know what your argument is.
Things that y'all provide hold women back and endanger their lives. Frankly, women can still have those things without you.
Hold up. How can a woman have kids with a man, but the man puts her life in danger when she agrees to have kids with him? And then I guess the good news is nobody gets hit by a bus. I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about, woman.
Women can still be a full-time mother and a full-time homemaker without y'all.
Okay, yes, technically that's true, but it has been proven statistically time and time and time again that children who grow up in single mother households end up growing up horribly. The odds of them having criminal records are drastically increased. Trust me, a single parent household is one of the worst things that you can do to a child, but it's not like you'll ever figure that out. There isn't a man who wants to impregnate you. They wouldn't want to put your life in danger after all.
They just do it after work. And a lot of women do that while they're married too. So technically full-time is 40 hours a week, right? Yeah. She can still be a full-time homemaker and mother even without a man.
You can tell she has no idea what she's talking about, and she is grasping at straws. It is hilarious to watch.
Believe that? She would just have to have a job. What else? Do y'all on a large scale bring compassion, empathy?
Yes, and yes.
Emotional intelligence to the table? No.
You know what, woman? I'm going to give you a pass on that one. You don't have to define emotional intelligence because you haven't defined anything else in this rant of yours.
Oh, women typically get that from their friends and family. So what are you taking away? What are you taking away? Women don't depend on you for those things anyway. But you know what you do? You depend on women for safe emotional spaces. You depend on women for children.
You depend on men for children. You need a man to have a child. And also, we don't need your safe spaces. We actually create our own, and then you try to invade them, which is why the sacred right of brotherhood is so important, and you cannot stand it.
You depend on women for support.
We really don't. You've made it clear that you aren't even willing to provide even the most basic amount of support. Why would we want that?
You depend on women to put their lives on the back burner in a system where they will be forced to exist if something happens to you.
You're gonna be forced to exist no matter what, you freaking clod.
Women bring a lot of sacrifice to the table that men know nothing about.
And men bring a lot of sacrifice to the table that you refuse to recognize. It's almost as if relationships are about compromise and sacrifice. Who would have thunk it?
Because it happens without them. It happens at the cost of their own communities and support systems, not at the cost of men. So you can't remove anything from the table where women are already sitting at with each other. You're not providing nurturing energy. You're not providing any kind of emotional support. You're not providing any kind of labor that you don't get paid for. So you come to that table to sit there and to take. You don't come there to provide. Women provide. You maybe bring. At best you bring. But 9 times out of 10, you just take.
And what exactly are you providing? You say children, which doesn't count because you need a man to help you produce children, even though you don't want that man to help you produce children because doing so would put your life in danger. You say emotional support, but you're not even willing to put in the bare minimum it would take to provide that because you just spent the last 10 minutes in a pathetically feeble attempt to try to insult men in general. You don't bring money because you don't want men spending it, and you don't bring any form of intelligence because you don't even know how biology works.
Come to sit and take and benefit and prosper at somebody else's expense. Again, this goes for white people as well.
That's racist!
So what have you taken away? Nothing. If anything, you've taken away stress and trouble by removing yourself. It's supply and demand, my brothers. It's very simple, okay? Pick up a book and figure it out. Figure it out quick, because it's not going to end well. You'll be forgotten in 2 weeks.
Good, but I would say it's horrible yet terrible. Ugly yet disgusting. You suck.
If anybody here needs to read a book, it's you, sister. Not because you need to get educated. You are way beyond hope for that regard. But you should go read a book because you're going to need something to do because we want nothing to do with you. You are mean. You are a mean-spirited person. All you have done for the last 10 minutes is talk smack about an entire group of men you know nothing about. Now us, we're fine. You've been ignoring us for the last couple of decades. What's a few decades more? We don't care. We're off doing our own thing, and we're laughing our asses off the whole freaking time. Meanwhile, I'd say you got about another year before you're gonna be begging someone to wife you up, and we're all gonna look at you and say, we haven't forgotten about the video you made, Toots. Maybe you should go get yourself a cat. That is the only companionship you are going to have for the rest of your life. That is going to do it for today's video, gentlemen and gents, and as always, if you find that my particular brand of comedy is bringing you to the brink of laughter, then why don't you scroll on down and click that like and subscribe button. Maybe ring the notification bell, leave a comment or two, share this video. Let's get together and give the good old-fashioned middle finger to the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much for checking out this very special episode, and until next time, peace out, homies.